The following is brought to you in part by Patrick MacLaughlin of Douglas Elliman Real Estate.
In a giant warehouse next to a storage facility, because in the Hamptons, it's all about location, location, location. This is AirHamptons.
Oh, with Bridget and Bill.
I'm the Bill part of that.
Yeah, Bill McCuddy. And music, guests, local news, and two incredible hosts. Until that show comes along, this is AirHamptons.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you. Well,
our one-man band, Jim Turner, and you can call me Jim. Congratulations, thank you. You're still with us, and that was a little romantic, I guess, piece of music with
upbeat romantic
harmonica at the end.
Well, it was like a very fast strip.
Because like, this is February, and we're talking love. What's that, Jim?
No, we're okay right now without the romance. We like the up.
Surprise us later. Later in the hour. That is Jim Turner. He is our one-man band.
So we've got a whole full lineup of romantic people and not romantic people.
We're talking about romantic movies. I've got the AFI list of 100 most romantic movies ever made.
But we're not going to read that all off.
No.
Unless you want to do name 50 states.
No, but there are a couple that'll surprise you. There's a couple of horror kind of things on there.
Cool.
And because love comes in all sizes and shapes.
Well, I told you what my favorite love story is. Superbad. I mean, seriously, no, it's a lovely story. It's not a love story between like a man and a woman, but it's the two boys. It's Seth and Evan. And
Superbad is not on this AFI list.
Oh, I bet not.
At 100 is Jerry Maguire.
Oh, yeah,
which is a contemporary, but there's crazy old stuff on there, too.
Bill McCuddy, you complete me.
No, you complete me. How old were you when you first fell in love?
Oh, are you kidding? Yeah. I mean, my mom wrote a book. Her first book was called Bridget. And it was a best-selling children's book. I was 10 when it came out. And the first line is, Bridget loved David Stone. The only problem was David Stone did not love Bridget back. That's the first line. My mother wrote about my crushes. It was not at all embarrassing, and it made me extremely popular at school.
You're putting money in the tip jar, which you do every time you mention somebody famous. But David Stone, who's that?
Oh, well, his father was, it wasn't actually David Stone. His last name, let's just say.
Roger Stone?
No, his father was a very famous Fiddler on the Roof. Oh. And very interestingly enough, he and I have reconnected, and I've had a chance to make amends for telling my mother that I was madly in love with him.
With Tevia's kid?
Yeah, no, with the actual the actual fiddler.
Oh, the Fiddler on the Roof.
Famous Isaac Stern.
Oh.
And now I really do have to put my name in the name drop jar. Jeez. But anyway, so what about you? What was your
I was
first
18,
crush?
She was 21. It's nobody famous, so I don't have to open the tip jar up and put anything in there.
Sure you don't want to put in just the tip?
I might have been imagining somebody famous at the time, but look, we're going to talk about love in a lot of different ways, and I mentioned the movie thing because the woman who actually cast the movie Love Story, which is on the 100 list, joins us a little later on in the show. And we're all about the East End, but we wanted to start the show with some folks that are friends of yours, and
are all about love,
and are madly in love.
Yes.
In fact, they've written about it.
They've written about it repeatedly. We are lucky enough to have Amy Zerner and Monte Farber on as guests today. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Amy is well known for her incredible tapestry art. Monte is well known for
something.
for his psychic abilities and much, much more. And they have been running the enchanted world of Amy Zerner and Monte Farber and published how many books?
Over 50.
Over 50 books, many of them still in print. And because
15, actually.
And you guys have been together for how long?
Almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years. And we met at the filming of a porno movie that's probably not on your list.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Wait a minute.
Is that a true
everything.
story?
It's a true story.
We need to hear this story
Wow.
now. What was, first of all, if it's something
Tell
you
it
can
slowly.
say.
No, that's too creepy. That's wrong, I guess. I apologize for that.
That's how we got the deal for this book.
That is how we got the deal for this book.
For something called Southmate
The
Pale.
soulmate?
Soulmate Pale.
The
The
soulmate.
Southpaw
Upside down.
Path. It's
Okay,
about
wait a
being a
minute.
left-handed
Find the
pitcher.
love you
Everybody
want.
shut up.
and
It's the
strengthen
soulmate path.
We are soulmates.
I know you are. I want to hear about the porno.
Yeah.
I was playing music in a band that got hired to play at a rooftop party scene at the filming of supposedly the first feminist porno movie in 1974 called Up the Girls.
up.
There you go.
Girls. Oh my God. And what,
You asked.
Girls.
now, I'm scared to ask. What were you doing there, Amy?
So my girlfriend said, "Do you want to go see this filming?" We had clothes on. We were like part of the party.
We were playing like the.
yeah, you were
Then
looking
our
around.
eyes locked.
Looking around everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then how did you like see each other across the room? And I mean, you guys have been together for almost 50 years.
I
What
had been a
happened?
vegetarian for 7 years and swore I'd never go out with anyone who ate meat. And I think my first line was, "Aren't these cocktail franks wrapped in bacon good?"
That
I'm not
desperate.
stupid.
Anything to charm.
Well, you're
right.
also, I mean, you're well known for your astrological
Yes.
predictions, and you both are astrologers, and you've done the Enchanted Love Tarot. So
Yeah.
everything that you do has a little bit of mystical, magical to it.
It's true, because when I met Amy, she was studying astrology and I was studying Amy, and I used to think it was nonsense. But like I said, I ain't stupid.
No. and
Well, now
people-
wait a minute. So so those listening who don't believe in this sort of thing, do your charts align correctly after
No,
50
actually.
years? You're not supposed to be
We're
together.
not supposed to be married to anybody, according to astrology. But that just goes to show it's like the spice of life, but you can't live on spices. It's good stuff, but you can't go by it in terms of your
But
free will.
seriously, it helps you understand the other person. It's a language of psychology. So knowing astrology helps me understand his character and his quirks, even better than you would normally.
Longer than the AFI list, by the way.
What, your quirks?
My quirks.
Oh, you're quirky.
Me and Larry David are like
Super
neck
quirk.
and neck. Super quirk, like super bad.
Exactly.
Curb our enthusiasm.
So,
Thank you.
so what advice do you have, I guess, starting off? I mean, from your
But-
own love story. Oh, no, you can talk about whatever.
It's easy. Put
Yeah.
your relationship first. We got asked to do this book by our friends who bought a publishing company, and they were like, "Now you can do your relationship secrets," and we're like, "We don't have any relationship secrets." Well, they said you better get some. So we went into different rooms and we wrote. We both came up with the same thing about putting the relationship first.
Ahead of family, ahead of your job, ahead of, petty things that are bugging you.
Yeah.
And that's why you never go to sleep angry, because the relationship is the most important thing.
That's the exact same description of the Newlywed Game. They go in two separate rooms and they come back and they compare answers. And you did it with a list of 50
Forever young,
things,
yes.
and they were remarkably similar.
They lined up, aligned
Is there
like the
anything
planets.
in all of the books that has the same message about love or the same conclusion about it?
That's a really good question, but I'm not sure I
When
understand.
people say that's a really good question, it means they have no idea what to
I don't
say.
understand.
They're stalling.
Vamp,
I'm hoping that,
Monte.
the spirits will give me an answer to
Yes.
that.
Love is so intangible, really, but we know it's the most important thing in life. We know the world runs on it. We know our motivation that's the root of it.
And I'm a reader, and that's the question I get asked more than anything else, except for people wanting to know where they're going to live in New York City.
Yeah. So,
Will I get that apartment?
yeah, right. But people want to know about love. That's,
First question.
That's one
Before money.
really.
Yeah.
We
Not
always
for
say,
me.
our-
I put money.
Well, you have love.
Oh, we know the
My
tip
chicken
jar's
jar.
right here.
Money comes first, then love.
She's
That is
rolling
the
in dough
best.
as long as
You
it's
guys
quarters.
You guys know the story when Eric showed up at my doorstep after we'd been dating like 2 weeks or whatever, and he was sitting on the front porch and he was like, "I think I'm in love with you." Do you remember this?
No.
1993.
See, he ain't
30
stupid
years
either.
ago. And I said, my child comes first and my newspaper comes second. If you don't mind being third, you're welcome aboard. What a bitch.
That's a
Can
different
you-
philosophy than put the relationship.
Where's this show now and all of that?
This show is number 67. But
Are you
number
saying I'm
66.
stupid?
But seriously, I mean, I have changed over the years, and of course, our marriage comes before everything. As I'm sure it's Mrs. McCuddy.
Yeah, I saw her across the room at a club called Pravda in the city on Lafayette Street, and I was with someone else, she was with somebody else, but we kept looking at one another, and then when we left, my girlfriend, or the woman I was seeing at the time, walked ahead of me down the stairs, and I turned to Sue, and I said, "It was so nice almost meeting you," which sounds like a line in a movie.
Ooh,
Wow,
good
love
one. Good
it.
one.
Wasn't.
McCuddy.
Somebody can do that if they want. So then she went over to a friend and said, "I've never done this in my life, but give that guy my phone number." He waited a week to tell me. I waited a week to call her. So 2 weeks later, we talked for 3 hours on the phone, and 90 days later, we were engaged.
Really?
Beautiful.
Wow, within 90 days.
Go write a book about that, you.
No, you do. Yeah, you've written enough. But that really shows an interesting thing. That when it's meant to happen, it happens.
I
Karma.
guess.
Karma.
Yeah.
Well,
And
but
we-
also you got to have a little nerve. I mean, you did. Our first double date with the same girl, Amy's date was high challenged. I don't know how you say that on in a good way. But he left because we were at a Patti Smith concert that was so sardine-like at the Roosevelt Hotel that he couldn't take it. And Amy got mad, and she was this New York girl leaving at 10 o'clock at night in 1974, walking up Madison Avenue
Wow.
to 59th Street. And I just left my date and went after her.
Oh, wow. That's
Mr.
so sweet.
Gallant, who
Yes.
was not so gallant to my date, but
No, but you knew where the love was going.
yeah.
So tell us about I know you've have the Enchanted Tarot. It's one of your most famous
Yeah.
and successful decks or books,
Yep.
and books. What's the difference with the Enchanted Love Tarot?
It's only for love. The book, it's a thick book written just to answer questions about love because so many people ask them.
But it's the same tarot? I mean,
No,
it's the
it's
same.
different art.
Oh, different.
Different images,
Oh,
just
cool.
focused on relationships. Because you have to work on yourself to have a good relationship. You
course.
don't have to work on the relationship.
I'm in trouble.
Where's the one?
Inner self.
I don't know where it is.
Okay, and before we let you go, best movie about love? We're talking about that all through the
Wow,
show.
what a great
What
question.
do you? Where do you fall in love? Actually, some people love it and some people hate it.
It's fun, it's hard to find something that kind of applies to our philosophy.
But have we ever seen a movie where we said those people look like they're really in love?
No.
Uh-oh.
You know what I loved?
We're the
Truly,
deal
Madly,
breakers.
Deeply.
Oh, that is great.
Well, now we have to
Alan
watch
Rickman
it.
is the ghost.
Alan
Well, I
Rickman's a
love him.
ghost, and he comes back.
He comes back
Oh,
and
I'd
it's
love to
Juliet
see that.
Stevenson.
And it's really about be careful what you wish for. Like if somebody
Yes.
passed away and you wanted them back in your life, because he comes back in her life and it's really a problem. And
Like, no,
it's
it
charming,
is.
but it's
Okay,
good.
we have to
beginning is
watch
charming,
that.
but then it's a really good one, and it's before Ghost and the dumb
I
Patrick
don't know
Swayze.
if that's
I'm
on
not
the
into all
AFI
that
list.
stuff. And when you said Love Actually, I was like, ugh.
Can you play us out, Jim?
So
I've fallen in love with you two. The books are Enchanted Worlds and
Enchanted
Soulmate
Worlds is the new
Path
one.
and hundreds of others.
Hundreds.
Yes.
Amy Zerner, Monte Farber,
Thanks, guys.
theenchantedworld.net. Thanks for coming on,
What a
guys. Love
romantic
you.
song.
Pleasure.
Go and spread love.
Thank you.
We will.
Oh, they're taking the books with them, of course.
No.
No, you
keep
can
them.
take
I can take a hit.
We're joking with you. Yeah. So that was lots of fun. They are
was.
amazing. And Amy's artwork is so fantastic. And yeah.
Welcome back, because Bridget and I have way too much time on our hands and apparently are willing to prove it. This is AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill. We
Which
are
one are
talking.
you? Which one are you? I
At this
forget.
performance, the part of Bill will be played by Bill.
Bill.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was fun having Amy and Monty on.
They are.
They are
They're
really amazing
fantastic.
people.
And now we're joined by a different couple. One a regular and a new.
Yes, and
we'll call her
they're
a new
not actually a
irregular.
couple. But they're a couple
Not
of
yet.
people.
We do love one another.
We've got Patrick MacLaughlin, Hamptons Chatter, and Douglas Elliman Real Estate. And we have Dawn Watson, also Douglas Elliman Real Estate, and Hamptons Party Girl. So you guys have so many similarities.
Yeah, the chatterer and the party girl must see each other socially at functions all the time.
Is
I
that
don't
like-
get invited to parties, so it's like, no, I don't.
And you get invited and you don't want to go. No, I'm kidding.
I've been on his show.
Oh yeah, years ago. I forgot about
Years
that.
ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Jason actually was a video on the blog years ago.
Which one? For Hamptons Chatter?
Yeah, about it must have been about 5 years ago, if not longer. ago.
Longer, I think. Yeah.
You've both had shows here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never did here.
Oh, no, you didn't do it here.
I did a TV show on that. Actually, I produced. I was on camera like a couple times, but not because
We couldn't keep him off.
I was the voice in his ear.
Fox
Ooh,
News,
he's
but
the voice.
also Good Day New York.
Yeah, I was there.
On Channel 5 over there. And Dawn, you're
Dawn produced a show here at LTV.
I've had two shows at LTV.
Well, East End now, right?
we don't hold
Yes.
that against you.
No.
How's this one going
Super
so
fun.
far?
I love it so far, and I love the set. I have to say, it's beautiful. It's very warm.
Yeah, you
and
rarely
cute.
see this set on LTV.
Yes, I know. Never. We were so original.
Those listening, it's just paneling. It looks like we're in Wayne's World. So
It looks like a veneer.
it's
I don't think
nicer
it's real
than Wayne's
paneling.
World. I'm kidding.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's the reason we have Patrick on for every show, and he's going to tell us a little bit about love and romance in
Love
the
in the
Hamptons. But I really invited my good friend Dawn on for love stories because her story is a little bit different. A lot of people find love early, and you just recently got married for the first time.
Yes.
And in your late 40s.
I love you for that. Actually, I met my husband when I was 45, and we were together for 8 years before we got married. It's been about 8.5 years. We just got married in June. Bridget was at the wedding. Bridget actually
I read at the last
read
minute.
from the Song of Songs.
Yes, I
What
did.
is it, a shotgun wedding?
Yeah,
you know.
right. You're very funny.
That
Shug.
ship has way sailed.
A first marriage for both of you and your husband?
First marriage for me, second for him, but he was a never marry again, as many people who survive their first marriages are. And I was a never marry. I was an adamant. I'm never getting married. I don't need to get married. I'm a single solo. I'm a lone wolf. And
So what changed your mind? And it wasn't just love, was it? I mean, was it?
We are partners. We are soulmates. He is incredibly kind and loving and amazing and generous. And my reflection of myself in his eyes is the best thing I've ever seen about me. He makes me a better person. He loves me.
Wow.
The complete
him.
you thing that you said earlier.
Yeah, no, but that's from a movie, and this is from real.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
So our earlier guest said when you know, but it wasn't. It was not an immediate thing for you if you guys were together for, what did you say, 8 years before you got married?
It was totally an immediate thing. I mean, I knew he was my life partner. There was no doubt, but I didn't want to get married.
Right.
And so I was pretty adamant about that for a really long time. And then, you just get comfortable and you get happy. And I
wore
needed
her
health
down.
insurance because I'm in real estate. But no, it was great. And we had, but the important thing is it wasn't just a wedding.
Right.
It's a marriage. It's a life. It's a partnership. It's trust and unconditional love. And I think that's, I found it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Do you know the comedian Greg Giraldo's line about soulmates?
No.
Because there's proof in Siegfried and Roy because the only two gay lion tamers found one another. There's only two of those in the world, and they met.
That's pretty funny. Well, I want you to stay, Dawn, and I want Patrick to talk a little bit about romantic places on the East
You got
End,
married in
because-
Vermont, which is didn't you get married in Vermont?
Yeah,
Social media, I saw that.
Well, Killington, and I just saw it because we were just there again.
love
Yeah.
Killington.
Me too.
I haven't been there in a long time. I have
Yeah.
to go.
Come join us. Come
I would
visit
love
us.
to.
We're
I would
in
love
Austin.
to.
Yeah.
Yay! How,
Yeah, and but I mean,
how are the sheets? You have good. Oh my God! I keep shutting my
You
phone
did
off.
shut it off. I saw
And
you
I-
It's
shut
like
it
this
off.
is now a running
Live,
gag.
and we prove it every day.
I swear to you, I put it on
Patrick
airplane
McLaughlin's
mode.
phone
wanna
goes off
believe you.
every time, and an angel gets its wings.
And I shut it off on my watch and everything else. Anyway, romantic
Anyway,
places.
yeah,
So
and
let's kind of
jump in,
and
Dawn,
jump in,
too.
you guys
Yeah,
all. Like,
everybody.
I was going to start my way out in Montauk and
Okay.
like ignore Liar's Saloon. I think that place closed anyway.
I think so.
Yeah,
I don't
but
even know what that is.
oh, you don't want to know. Anyway,
Oh, you'll find love there for sure. Oh, you would have.
or you would have. But
the
no, but I think like Scarpetta at Gurney's is probably one of the most romantic places to have dinner on the East End. Ocean views, all glass, the fire. They have the contemporary fireplaces. and
Scarpetta has a place in the city, and then when Gurney's did its big makeover and buff
Renovation,
up, they
It's amazing
brought
to me
them
there
in.
aren't more places on the water to eat. It's really hard to get a place with a water view. Remember Sapori de Mare, which is now just grass?
A park.
A park.
Gasby-
It's wonderful. But
Dan Gasby joins us in just a little while, and that was B. Smith's.
Smith's.
It's
Of
famous
course.
in
I
Sag
mean,
Harbor for
beautiful,
years, and
but-
that was waterfront. But you're right; it's very
hard to
very
find
difficult out
waterfront.
here, and you would think there'd be millions of them.
There
but
are
no
a
way.
few, but most of them close for the winter because they're not insulated
Right.
or winterized or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Like there's Speak in Sag Harbor.
Right.
And there's
Bell and Anchor's
not Docks. What's the one in East Hampton?
On the water, the Gigi's thing now. The
No.
Bilbo Cat? No.
Why my
The
brain's
Bilbo
fried?
Cat? That
Fried.
was Bees.
No, that's Sag Harbor.
No, what's the one? They have one in East
Boathouse?
Hampton and one on the water. They the best. Come on.
Bostwick's.
Bostwick's.
Oh.
Thank you. Duh.
Yeah, when you think romance, you think chowder. Yeah.
Sure.
I guess it's all, and of course the sunsets there are gorgeous. So is that
Awesome.
what? So let's talk about the ingredients of a romantic
Yeah.
sort of place.
Warm,
the water's
cozy,
nice.
fire.
Yeah.
There's different factors I think that make a good romantic restaurant.
Sunset, beach.
Like Murph's not romantic. Murph's is Sag Harbor.
You
Good
just
lighting.
haven't had enough to drink, my friend.
You can find love at Murph's too.
I find love at
Tavern.
It can be
Merck's.
expensive there, though.
North Sea Tavern, another place you don't want to find love.
You know what is actually I think is a kind of a romantic
What?
place is the Page at 63 Main has
Yes.
that little back room with all the plants and stuff.
The gazebo kind
yeah,
of
the
thing, yeah.
gazebo thing. So in the spring, it's actually, I think that's a really romantic little place.
Doesn't that back up to Murph's other
It does,
backyard?
actually.
That's why I thought of it. That's why I
All
thought
roads
of it.
come back to Murph's.
All roads lead to.
Bridgehampton Inn's another great one.
Oh, yeah.
It's big overstuffed chairs, a fireplace, and very cozy and
Yeah.
warm on the inside, and that's one.
I shot a wedding there once when I was still doing photography.
Oh, cool.
And in the courtyard, it was stunning.
Right.
Yeah.
It was
So
so romantic.
So you have
Everybody
dinner
does
there?
want to get married in the Hamptons, or a lot of people in the New York area.
Yeah,
think
they do.
this
Oh,
is
Wolfer's
very-
a big wedding venue. out
Wolfer,
here.
yeah, that's
the
romantic.
And Cece, that is a big. I actually am invited to a wedding there in the spring.
Well, you got married there.
I did.
When it
I
was
did.
before
Was
it was
East Hampton
Cece.
Point?
Yeah, it was when it was East Hampton Point. The theme was "What's Love Got to Do with It?" So,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
I thought that was a great theme. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, Patrick. I am the most gullible person. A kid once said to me, "Hey, Bridget, it says gullible on the ceiling." And I swear to God, I was like, where?
It's so funny, but it's not. Gullible's not in the dictionary.
Is that true?
I had it for a second.
He's got me again.
Both of
Darn
us.
it. They got me again.
He's so funny.
She's childlike.
I hope you've
in
enjoyed the
her-
last appearance of Patrick MacLaughlin as Hampton's Chatter. No.
No, anyway, but so what are some other places that are romantic in the Hamptons? Because we're talking
Fauna.
about
Have
What?
you been to
Oh,
Fauna in
Fauna.
West Hampton
Fauna.
Beach?
fauna
Oh my
in,
God.
in West Hampton.
Yeah, it's great. It's flora, fauna,
Flora.
cowfish, and rumba are all owned by the same. It's Root
Oh, in
Hospitality
Hampton
Group.
Bays.
Yeah.
No, it's in West Hampton Beach. It's the old
Cowfishes.
Starbucks.
Wait, where
Fauna's
are
the old Starbucks.
Imagine we're having a conversation when you
Starbucks.
go
Oh,
in the
okay.
old Starbucks.
Yeah, I thought you were saying
Starbucks.
Starbucks. You were saying
Starbucks.
Starbucks is fauna.
Fauna.
Because Flora,
It's
I've been to
incredible.
Stone Creek Inn is another good romantic
Oh,
place.
That's my
in-
second one. Yeah.
in Hampton
in-
Bays.
East
No,
Quad.
it's actually in Quad.
East Quad.
And
East Quad.
since we're in that zip code, the new canoe place is kind of cool. That just got a
Hot. Everyone's
complete.
talking about
Canoe
it.
Yeah,
Place Inn?
I was
I've
there
been
at the
there.
holidays.
I
It's
saw you
really
there.
gorgeous.
Is
I
it?
sat with you there.
That's right.
Yeah.
We went to. They're doing a
All
series.
roads lead to McCuddy.
No, but they're doing
Exactly.
a series of like guests and lectures, and they did a thing there with an old friend of mine, Alan Late, who you know from was on Vibe magazine and I think wrote for Rolling Stone.
And this
Oh
is
my
a-
God, he wrote for Rolling Stone when I knew. Yeah.
they were
This
doing
is Canoe Place Inn.
Canoe
was
Place
it?
Inn, yeah.
Yeah, you know,
It's
my
cottages and-
my husband's grandfather built the original one. I mean, actually built it. I don't mean like he designed it. I mean he was there with the hammer and nails, built the original one. That
There are
they-
a lot of names to drop about Canoe Place as well from back in the day.
Well, I'm not really John. Antonio
somebody's-
Hansen
It's
was a
the
carpenter.
oldest tavern on the
East
on
End.
all of
Yeah.
Long Island, and like it's
believe
like
so.
1641 or something crazy like that.
Someone told me it was a gangster hangout back in the day. I don't know if that's true.
Well, let's try and revitalize that.
That
Yes,
sounds good.
bring
That's
that
what you're
back.
saying. Yeah, it's
bring
like-
back gangsters, real gangsters with guns. See, we talk like this. Why I oughta like that, right?
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you go, favorite romantic movie doesn't have to be made out here in the Hamptons. Although a couple of these on the list of
I love
AFI
Jerry
are from out
Maguire.
here.
That's because we already said Jerry
Jerry
Maguire.
Maguire was-
I do love. I think
do
that's
love
such a
that.
great movie.
Body Heat is on it.
You
Can
know which
believe
one?
That?
Bodies.
That's like
I will tell
that
you.
doesn't
Bill.
end well.
And very few people remember this movie with Diane Lane, Laurence Olivier, called A Little Romance.
Oh, Little Romance.
by
is
George
great.
Roy
That's
Hill.
one of Diane Lane's
First movies.
She's a
and
little,
it takes place in Venice and Paris, and
Yeah.
it's like, and it,
all the two kids want to do
it
is
was
go
kiss under the
br-
bridge of Sighs and kisses the bell
I
tolls.
can't believe
It's such a great
My
movie.
Fair Lady is on here. He's horrible to her at the end.
Oh, I thought you almost said My Left Foot. I'm
No,
like,
no,
not a
that's
very
it.
romantic
But no,
movie.
my Fair Lady.
I told
She
you there's
comes
some
back
odd
and
ones.
he turns away and says, "Fetch me my slippers."
I have one
Eliza."
to add, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on the list or not. First of all, I do love Love Actually. By the way, I love it.
Okay.
I
I've
love
never
it so
seen
much.
it.
It's so good. But I love Baby Boom.
Oh,
Diane
me
Keaton.
too.
And I have to say, because it is all about a woman owning her own power, not to
Yes.
be all, but it is. She's owning her own power. She becomes a success. She does it on her own.
And Sam
She's-
Shepard.
Sam
She's
Shepard.
she's
Yeah.
she's full up with her own
Power.
power in her own self in a good way, and then she meets someone, and Sam Shepard, who is awesome, and I love that movie.
Oh, me too. And you know that the little girls who played it was the twins,
yeah.
obviously, was Michelle Kennedy, and I forgot her sister, but she was the librarian at the East Hampton Middle School until very, very recently.
Holy moly!
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Diane
So there you
Keaton
go,
has made a
comes
few
around.
movies out here, and
Oh,
most of
yeah.
them have been romantic comedies. Here's a weird one. Number 89 is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Aren't they just,
Are you
aren't they just
kidding me?
yelling at each other? For
Yeah,
the
They're
whole-
drinking and
They're
yelling.
drinking and yelling and throwing glasses.
So
Pump
there's
the
hope for my
hostess.
marriage.
Absolutely. There you go. Okay, so it was a joke.
Who directed Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Was this
Edward
first
Albee
movie?
did the play, but I
Mike
can't remember.
Nichols.
Mike Nichols
wasn't
is
Mike
right.
Nichols.
Yes, Mike Nichols is correct.
Edward Albee, a Hamptons resident.
We will
Exactly.
continue. That's right. We will continue this conversation, and
You guys should just come on. We should just talk about movies the whole show, and then have Jim play things for us.
we'll do that for the Oscars maybe next month.
There's a lot of movies on here that I'm really surprised.
Yeah,
I know
there's
you're trying to
some-
play me out now, but I'm actually like looking at this. This is very,
What's-
very weird.
Well, do I have to wait around to the end of the show?
Jezebel is 79. Betty
Davis?
Yeah.
Okay, The Princess Bride should be way, way, way up higher. They have it as 88. The Princess Bride
that
is really
seems
cute.
weird.
That
That
is.
does
Anyway.
seem weird.
Okay, well, you shouldn't have given me a list because now you know. I'm just going to read. I get.
Oh
like,
man, do we have to wait around till the end of the show to
Jim,
hear the
play
top
us
five?
out with some more romantic
top
music.
five.
When we return, Dan Gasby joins us. He has his own incredible love story about the woman who was his bride for many, many years. And that's all coming up with more of
Oh, AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill and Patrick and Dawn and Amy and Monte and Dan and Jim.
It's Almost Too Much Show.
Super fun, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Was any more entertaining, it wouldn't be AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill.
Okay, first, but you know what? She made a good point. Let's just read down these top five, which I'm really surprised about.
Okay,
What is
sure.
this from? The AFI?
Yeah, this is the American Film Institute, and this is 100 years, 100 movies.
Okay, but these are love stories, right?
All love stories.
So number 5 is An Affair to Remember,
The
1957.
original one with Cary Grant and Deborah
Right.
Carr.
And then Roman Holiday.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. It's kind of Gregory Peck
No,
following
we'll
Audrey
always
Hepburn
have-
around. There's no love story.
No, I know.
he's just like a stalker, and she
And
turns
then
out
West
to be
Side Story. They.
West Side Story. Is
Will
number
I be
3.
giving it away to say that somebody dies at the end? What kind of
No,
love
don't do that.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. Well, in the original, they both die.
Gone
Romeo
with
and
the
Juliet.
Wind. They break up at the end of Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
That's
I
number
mean,
2.
And then number 1 is Casablanca. I'll give them that.
Casablanca.
But again, it's not a happy love story.
Bridget, if you don't get on that plane, you'll regret it. Not today or tomorrow, but someday. One thing
soon
we don't
and for the rest
regret,
of your life. Oh my God!
Our next
get your
guest
movie life. No, I
is,
know.
knows all about love.
We are so pleased to have the marvelous Mr. Gasby.
Kind of Hampton royalty out here.
I don't even know how to respond to
Dan
that.
Gasby
but
joins
I
us.
will take it.
Okay, yes, take it in droves.
Dan, you're here for a lot of things. You wear many, many hats, but for many years you were married to what we would call one of the first ladies of the Hamptons, and that was B. Smith. We were talking about the restaurant earlier when we were talking about romantic places. But tell us about how you two first met and what being married to her was like.
Well, it's so funny that you talk about love and meeting and marriage. And I met Barbara Smith, at her restaurant in 1987, and I was with a then date. And
This was in the city.
in New York City.
Right.
The first Valentine's Day that it had, and everyone had talked about this woman and how amazing she was. And back then, New York City was more wild than it is now. I used to say instead of now it's Mickey Mouse. Back then it was Ricky the Rat and Midnight Cowboy. And I came in and I took the liberty of preparing my dinner for my date for Valentine's, and I came in and had all these things arranged. And when she got there, basically, before she sat down, there was a glass of champagne, and then I said that I've taken the liberty of ordering your salad, and a dozen roses came.
Wow,
And then
you're really romantic.
I think romance is, it's the energy of life,
Yes.
and I said, you're going to love the soup that I ordered. And back in 87, a bowl of soup covered, when it was open, there was a bottle of Chanel No. 5.
You can't have that for soup.
And,
Yucky.
but, it was
After
and then the
eating
soup
tossed
came.
roses, it's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
And for the main dish, I said seafood is particularly delicious. And covered again was a pearl necklace. And the waitresses, and the people in there had seen me come in and couldn't believe that I was doing all this, and they told Barbara, told B, and the restaurant was set up as a square, and it had a raised bar area and a sunken dining area. And I saw her from the distance, and I had no idea. I heard about her, but I'd never seen her. And I looked at her, and she was in a red hostess gown with a fire engine red bustier. And she looked like the epitome of strawberries and chocolate.
Oh my God, how beautiful.
And
Did you just grab that pearl necklace like yoink from your date? Say, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. No,
I love how romantic this story is
I know, I'm
for you
sorry.
and B. But whatever happened to this
Just-
poor girl?
Well,
who got Chanel number five? She got a lot of like.
we got married. We had a child. She actually left me.
The original, the
Yes,
woman you
yes,
took.
Date.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, so you are an upstanding
And yeah,
fella.
yeah.
Okay.
And then I had a TV show. Fast forward several years later, that launched a career. I hate to say it, but I'll tell you the truth. I launched a career of a guy named R. Kelly and another guy named Eric Benet.
Oh wow!
And it was called Big Break with Natalie Cole. Natalie was the host of the show. And my show got canceled 2 weeks before Natalie was going to do something that no one had ever done before. She was going to telephonically sing with her father.
Oh,
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable, right.
And
right,
I
love
pitched the
that.
show to a guy who ultimately became the congressman that replaced Anthony Weiner, Bob Turner. He was the head of multimedia. And I said, Bob, let me explain something. I've got Natalie. We have a 5-year contract. Will Rogers said, I never met a man I didn't like.
Right.
And Natalie's going to sing with Nat.
Right.
He is loved throughout the world. Give me 3-4 more episodes. Our show had actually beaten Howard Stern's first foray into late night television. We were number 2 in New York
Wow.
At 11:30.
at 11:30.
That's amazing.
And we were second only to SNL. And he canceled the show. And it was the most devastating thing that ever happened, because that little album called Unforgettable went on to become Song of the Year, Album of the Year,
course.
Soul
Everybody
Train
knows
Music Awards, Billboard, all of the
It
Grammys.
was like the first kind of
Yeah.
mashup
And-
where they
Yeah,
did
and
that.
your show would have had her under contract.
For
Yes.
5 years. I was devastated. I came back east because I was shooting the show out in L.A., and I walked into the restaurant, and she was standing at the desk, and she says, wow, Dan, I hear the show is really doing well. And I said, well, it was, and canceled.
Yeah.
And something in me just said, would you like to go out to dinner or have lunch? And she said, sure. And we set up a time. She couldn't make it. I couldn't make it. And then I came in one day after that, and she says, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, I'd like to do it. And I waited for her, and she had to go downstairs. She came back up, and she was when I came out. I was in the restroom. She came back up. She was getting hugged by a guy so good looking.
It made you nervous.
I would have dated him. I'm not gay or bi, okay? And
This is sounding like a repeat of the Valentine's Day.
It
from years
literally-
earlier.
literally it
Like
was.
She's meeting the next guy.
No.
And what happened was we missed each other. And then and I had to go back out to the West Coast, finish up some
So
stuff.
2 times
Two
you missed
times.
each other's.
And
Yeah.
and then finally what happened was I was sitting at a little restaurant bar that was a hot spot back then called the Shark Bar. And she jumped out of a Jeep. This was the most unbelievable scene. I was sitting in the bar. I gave a guy $100 bill, the bartender. He looked like a miniature version of Mike Tyson, and he talked like, "Hello, how you doing?" You know, like that. you want? And I said, I'd like mimosas. And he says, and he gave me a flute, and I gave him a $100 bill, and I says, "Give me that bottle of Freshenet, which was Cordon Negro, which is about the most inexpensive champagne, and give me that half gallon of
OJ.
of Tropicana." And I was making my own mimosas, and this Jeep drives up, and it was these 2 spectacular-looking women. And that was back when braids and having, natural hair was like on the cutting edge.
Right.
And this one woman who was driving the Jeep They double parked the Jeep right out front. She got out, and she was wearing skin-tight jeans with a double-breasted blazer.
Ooh.
And she was beautiful.
Smoking.
And then there was this other woman who was Barbara, was B. She was wearing these cat pants that were white. She had a naval officer's hat on, and she had what I'd never seen before, a triple-breasted blazer. So she had buttons down here, and she had one down the middle.
I don't triple, but you only have 2 breasts.
Yeah,
Why
but
do you need triple breasts?
But the way the thing looked, and she
I'm
and
sure it
she
looked
looked,
awesome.
and her body was perfect. It was like a perfect triangle. The way it silhouetted on her body, and she came in, and I said, "Hi, Barbara." She says, "Hi, Dan." And I said, "Can I get a hug?" Because I was a little tired, a little hungover too. And she gave me a hug. And I said, "That felt so good. Can I have another one?" And I tried to squeeze her behind me. And she pushed me back. And she said, "You know, your life might take a turn for the better if you make a phone call." And I said to both of them, "Well, can I hang out with you?" And before I could get it out, she says, "No, call me," you know.
Oh, wow. So
And
she
then-
had rules.
Yeah. And then fast
A way of
forward,
doing things.
I called her. I said, I'd love to meet you for lunch. She says, sure. I says, can I stop by the restaurant? She says, Dan, I can never relax if I'm in the restaurant. Do you have a place you would normally go to? And at the time, I was part of a group that hung out at a place about 8 blocks away from her at Cafe Cielo on 54th and 52nd and 8th Avenue. And I met her there. And she was wearing an Annie Hall outfit.
I can't believe you
Houndstooth
remember
outfit.
all the outfits.
Oh yeah,
It's
oh
just
yeah.
amazing to me. My husband, if I called him right now, he wouldn't remember what I put on this
Best
morning.
husband ever.
Yes, you are.
And she had on this houndstooth. She had sneakers on, white sneakers. She had a straw hat with a big black band around it, and it sat right here like this. And everyone talks about her smile, but what's even more to me bedazzling is her eyes. And those eyes were just sparkling. And I didn't want to leave. I didn't want her to go. And I said to her, after lunch was over, I said, you should come and see my health club. I didn't know what to say. I felt
didn't
like,
want her
Did
to
you
go.
have a health club? Or
yeah,
did
yeah.
you just make
I
that up?
belonged. I was one of the first members of the Equitable Athletic and Swim Club. That's right in the same area as Le Bernardine.
Yeah, I know exactly where it was.
BBD
Downstairs
was
on
upstairs.
that
Yeah,
Equitable
yeah.
Club.
I was a member on the board of that, and I took her to the club. I showed her this new radical equipment called Nautilus.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's
I
so how long ago it was, okay? And I walked her back because I was at multimedia at the time, up on between 5th and 6th, and I walked her to the corner of 52nd. Cats was playing. I kissed her on the cheek. I walked maybe 15 steps and turned around, and she was looking at me.
And you went in for the big one.
And
I
no,
hope.
no.
No?
We smiled.
Now B. B's
We
got
smiled.
rules.
Yeah.
I came back to her and I said, I really like to see you again. And she said, sure. And we've been together ever since.
How
my
many
God,
years
so
from the
beautiful.
first time in her restaurant to getting married and then?
Well, she gave me an ultimatum, but because we dated for almost a year, and she says, are you in or you out? And I said, I'm in.
Well, you were really, really in because you had a beautiful, beautiful love story together, and B. Smith's restaurant out here, and her fame, your fame together as a couple, and your closeness.
Bridget.
And but
She was the nicest human. My mother was a saint, and she was nicer than my mother.
wow.
She was what I know I'll never find again. And I say that very honestly. And I've been in relationships and things have, gone their ways and what have you. But she was clean.
I understand.
And when you have a clean love, what you have is someone that doesn't distract from you, who is totally secure in themselves, who is not greedy or needy.
So tell us about the part that
It takes
breaks
a dramatic
everyone.
turn, this
Yes.
love story, for people who
The
don't
people-
know your story.
And we have maybe
5
minutes.
Yeah,
So tell us about what it was like when
She
B got
battled.
her diagnosis and you became not just her lover but also her caretaker.
Well, the most difficult thing is, and we wrote a book that before I forget, and Michael Snarson, helped us with this book, that, and was fantastic in articulating all of the tragedy and trauma that goes along with it.
It being Alzheimer's.
Being Alzheimer's, there are what I call little signs of difference. Mm-hmm. When we could be in a room, in a party or an event or whatever, and I could look across the room and talk to her with my eyes, and she could talk to me. And when that didn't work, when I could look and I saw she was lost, or she looked bewildered. And this is a woman who...
How old was she at that time?
She was 57, 50,
That's like me. Yeah.
57. She had young onset Alzheimer's, which is genetic. There was... Her parents obviously passed the gene on, and that's how she got it. There was no way she could avoid it, and she, But it was... We never, what most people don't get, there's a bell curve in life. Mm-hmm. Some people always score 100, and some people always score 0, and the vast majority are somewhere between in that bulge.
Right.
I never had one argument with this woman.
Well, that's beautiful.
I mean, 5 different homes, restaurants, TV show, magazine.
Lots of stress.
Yeah.
Lots of things that would normally break people up.
Oprah patterned her magazine after our magazine. We launched our products with Bed Bath & Beyond. We did all of this, and we could sit in a room and work on stuff and not talk for an hour or two and just look at each other and smile. And she'd be doing her thing, I'd be doing my thing, and we'd be doing our thing.
Dan, can you remind me the name of the book?
Before I Forget.
Before I Forget.
Love, Hope, and Acceptance in Dealing with Alzheimer's.
And to this day, you talk about being caretaker and give lectures and interviews.
A lot of people need help with this.
Well, caretaking became even more pronounced with COVID. COVID raised the standard of understanding that we all have a situation where sooner or later, you're going to have to either be cared for or you're going to have to care for somebody.
Right.
And we had that en masse. And so it became more important now than ever to understand what goes along with caretaking. And one of the key things that goes along with that is loneliness.
Yes. It's good to have support groups for
It's
caretakers
good.
as well. Right?
Everybody goes to the coach. Who does the coach go to?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
The president of the United States.
911 call.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a room and you've got everything in the world, but who do you talk to?
Exactly.
And we have to learn that you have to have that ability to lean on something and someone, and to be able to get honesty, clarity, and try to synthesize it into how you're going to move forward.
Wow.
That's
Dan,
amazing.
That's
and
an amazing
a true
story.
love story.
Great
Dan
love
Gasby,
story.
thank you so much
Dan,
for joining us.
My pleasure.
Come back anytime.
Anytime. We would love to hear more about this.
Jim, play us out with something a little romantic, and when we come back, we're going to talk to the woman who actually cast the movie Love Story. And she has another kind of love story to talk about with a pet, which is also a real kind of love.
Of course.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Romantic.
Yeah. Well, talking about, it's February and we're talking about love stories, and you've got the story to end all love stories.
Well, on the AFI list of 100, at number 9 from 1970 is Love Story, and the woman who worked for Paramount and cast it has written a book, a different kind of love story. She'll tell us about that, but she actually helped cast this motion picture, and I had the chance to talk to her the other night. Take a listen.
Andrea Eastman.
Yeah. Andrea Eastman has kind of a love story of her own with a golden retriever named Trooper, and that's inspired a book called Trooper at the Beverly Hills Hotel that Susan McCauley authored. I had the pleasure of going to a book party for that the other night, and Andrea joins us now on the show. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. It's good to be on your your show.
Well, hold your applause till the end. Listen, the reason I was telling Bridget about you is that before you were the inspiration, or your dog was the inspiration for this book, you were in Hollywood and an agent, and before that, a casting person on probably the most iconic love story called Love Story with Ally McGraw and Ryan O'Neal. Were those the two people originally that the studios wanted for that Eric Siegel book?
That book actually was bought for Ally. It was after Goodbye Columbus, and we tested people to play. Oh my God, I just spaced.
Oliver, the guy, her love interest.
Well, her husband, Yeah.
Robert Evans was the producer running Paramount who probably wanted to put the whole deal together.
Well, Robert Evans loved it, and I worked for Paramount. My title was head of casting for Paramount. This is a long time ago. I had 2 assistants, and I made $300 a week. I thought it was fabulous. And so the book was bought for her. It was actually a script before it was a book. And I had a very close relationship with Charles Bludorn, who owned the company, and he was on the fence whether or not to buy it. And I finished reading the script in my office, and I called Bob, and I was sobbing. And he said, "You have to go see Charlie this minute while you're crying." I said, "Okay." So luckily I was able to get in, and I said, "Charlie, we have to make this movie." So Bob Evans was the big champion of Love Story. I mean, of course, he really believed in it, and I really believed in it because it was amazing. And Ally was always set to play the lead, and we tested a lot of actors. And Ryan, it was before people were using somebody from television. It was kind of, oh my God, he starred in Peyton Place. Can we put him in a movie? But his test was so amazing that he got the role.
Talk about a stigma that just isn't true anymore. Television to movies is done almost seamlessly these days. Tell me this, can you cast chemistry, or do actors have to have it?
You can't cast chemistry. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah. And these two did, and it was a huge hit, even though no one thought it was going to be, right? They couldn't get a director for a long time.
That's true. Larry Pierce was offered it, who directed Goodbye Columbus. And Arthur Hiller, who I'd done the Out of Towners for Arthur, and we were pretty close. And I go, "Arthur, this is such a beautiful story. You're the perfect person to do it." So it was quite a family at Paramount in those days. It was really quite special.
Why do you think love stories are the core to almost every motion picture that gets made?
Because I think everybody's looking for that perfect person. And I think everyone wants love. And, why are love songs written? Why are there so many sad love songs written? Everybody wanted to feel that kind of love that was portrayed in that film. In fact, I was going with somebody, and after watching the first cut of Love Story, I broke up with him.
Really? Where is he today?
Oh, I don't know. It's a long time ago.
Well, we've arranged a special surprise. Joining us now on no, I'm kidding. And then you also worked on The Godfather, which is obviously legendary and was just the basis, the making of it, for The Offer, which Paramount Plus had. And someone portrayed you. Were you happy with that portrayal in that series?
Well, I think she did a good job. She wasn't allowed to talk to me before. So, frankly, I went to the premiere in L.A., and when I'm introduced, I'm very officious, I think, the first time I'm introduced. And I meet Mario and Francis in this series. And I say, well, the studio will never go for Brando, which is true. They didn't want Marlon Brando because he was cold and he was expensive. And so I went through my list, and Danny Thomas, who I respect as an actor, but not for The Godfather. So I said, so I gave them my list, and Danny Thomas was on my list in The Offer. And I almost stood up at the premiere and said, I would never suggest Danny Thomas to play The Godfather. but a lot of Al Ruddy, there was a really incredible relationship between Columbo, the head of the mafia, and Al Ruddy. So a lot of that was accurate.
Yeah, I know a lot of has been made of that, the fact that it couldn't have gotten made without the permission of all the unions, and that did involve the 5 families or whoever, and that they weren't allowed to use the word mafia in it. But let's talk a little bit about another love story, which is the one that you had with the dog called Trooper, which is the inspiration for this book. Tell me and tell us about what you were going through and how Trooper sort of helped you.
Well, I had to have open heart surgery, which is not really a walk in the park. And so this golden retriever, I've had many, many dogs, but I don't know, this dog was, he was very special. He was very intuitive. He had a great sense of humor. He's probably my soulmate, and unfortunately he passed away in January. But Trooper was, the hotel was only a quarter open because of COVID. And Trooper used to love to carry his leash in his mouth, and he would prance around the hotel. He'd go behind the desk in the morning, and everybody would go, "Good morning, Trooper." But he just was, this is not a good image, but what happened was after open heart surgery, you don't walk so well right away. So I would have a walker, and I'd walk around the lobby. That was my walk, which was beautifully decorated for Christmas. And Trooper would carry his leash, and he would walk step by step with me. And if I stopped, he would stop and look up. And the whole hotel fell in love with him. And, he was the most intuitive, loving, special creature that ever lived. And I frankly cry every day over him because there'll never be another dog like Trooper.
Well, we were talking all about love in this hour, in this edition, and we haven't talked about pets that much. So you're a marvelous addition to that conversation. Look, you represented people like Sylvester Stallone, who I know is a big fan of Troopers. It's one of the blurbs in the book. If this illustrated book became like a movie, who would be the voice of Trooper?
I think Sam Waterston.
Oh, really? From Law and Order?
Well, I know him so many years, and he's warm, and he has an incredible voice. He's such a warm person. And
you hear his voice when you look at pictures of Trooper?
Well, I never thought about it before, but I think he could be a voice. It has to be somebody with heart and soul, because this dog had such heart and soul and bravery. I mean, he was a very stoic dog. He was an incredible dog. Please forgive me if I do this on your interview. I started at Paramount Pictures in New York, and then I moved to California and became an agent.
Right.
I'm sorry, it was the other way around. Is that okay that I?
Yeah, sure. No, please correct me. Bridget does it all the time. So the book is called, if I have this correct, Trooper at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Susan McCauley was the author, but Trooper and you were the inspiration for it. Andrea Eastman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Imagine this. It could have been Make Room for Goddaddy.
That would have been very
Danny
funny.
Thomas
I
as
know.
the Godfather.
And then Marlowe could have been Sonny Corleone. Right?
or gotten beaten up by Sonny.
Well, wow, this show's been all over the place. Love stories. We've had
animals. Do you let the
Animals?
animals sleep in your bed at home?
No. I hardly let my husband.
Mrs. McCuddy lets all the animals sleep with us, and that's a problem because she has a horse.
There you go.
Steals the blanket.
back to the Godfather we are.
Yes.
Because you could send a message if you wanted to.
The Godfather is not one of the 100 AFI movies, but we have been talking about everything romantic.
Yes, we have. And we've had amazing guests. That was Andrea Eastman we were listening to.
She
Dan
said chemistry
Gasby.
can't be cast, so...
we got it. Shut up, you.
We'll know if we're back next month, and if we are, please join us on little something we call...
AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill.
Because
no one else can tolerate us. See, I can come up with things
because
on the
LTV has the space, and we've got a barn. Let's put on a show.
Let's listen to hear what this says.
No, we can. No,
Oh
we're
my
not-
God. Okay, never mind.
The gun. That's nice.
I
Yes,
didn't
this
know what
show's
it
been
was.
brought to you by the NRA.
No, it hasn't.
Hey, thanks for
Has
listening.
not.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Jim, would you
Jim,
bring
play
us
us
out?
out.